Beshalach, which is Exodus 13, verse 17, through chapter 17, verse 6. Beshalach, which is when he sent off. When he sent off. And so what we're going to be talking about this week, just for a few minutes over here, is the very beginning of this Torah portion, which is Exodus 13. We're going to look at verses 17 through 22. Exodus 13, 17 through 22.
Got it? Okay. Exodus 13, verse 17. And it came to be, when Pharaoh had let the people go, that Elohim did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, though it was near. For Elohim said, lest the people regret when they see fighting and return to Mizraim. So Elohim led the people around by the way of the wilderness of the Sea of Reeds. And the children of Israel went up in fives from the land of Mitzrayim. And Moshe took the bones of Joseph with him, for he certainly made the children of Israel swear, saying, Elohim shall certainly visit you, and you shall bring my bones from here with you. And they departed from Sukkoth and camped in Etham at the edge of the wilderness. And Yahweh went before them by day in a column of a cloud to lead the way, and by night in a column of fire to give them light, so as to go by day and night. The column of cloud did not cease by day, nor the column of fire by night before the people.
Okay, all right, very good. So here we pick up the story here from last week's Torah portion, where we were still looking at the plagues almost being completed. It was started off with the 8th plague, but at this point, Exodus 13, verse 17, it begins with Pharaoh finally letting the people go. So it's dealing with the people leaving out from Egypt into the wilderness. So at the beginning stages here, it's interesting when we just look at the first verse there, verse 17, where it talks about the fact that Pharaoh let the people go and Elohim led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, even though that was near, even though that was the closest path, the straightest way they could have went. They didn't go that way because it says, lest peradventure the people repent when they see war. The Most High didn't want to lead the people out from all of the things that they had just got finished dealing with basically being, they witnessed, I would say, a war between the Most High and Pharaoh. They weren't actual participants per se, in terms of, fighting and so on and so forth. The Most High, of course, fought for his people. However, it was kind of, I would think, kind of a volatile situation, seeing as how, though you're not really dealing with a nation per se, it's a large group of people that had all similar, the same background. They were a people, but they really weren't a nation, so to speak, just because they don't, at the time, Israel didn't have any laws about themselves. They barely understood who they were based on the fact that they were, part of Pharaoh's people all of this time, right? And so they weren't ready to be involved in any sort of altercations. And the Most High understands this and takes them a different way. And so it's interesting when you think about the way in which the Most High deals with us in terms of the way that He leads and guides us. Because if we kind of reference down to the last two verses of what we read there, talking about the fact that the Most High was leading them through the wilderness with the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. He was taking the people through the wilderness by way of the leading of His presence. And so when we think about the fact that the Most High does in fact lead us by way of His presence, I'm saying us as far as now, through His Ruach HaKodesh, we're able to see that this kind of pictures for us the way that the Most High deals with us today. The fact that when we're able to lean on the Spirit, that its purpose, is in fact to lead us, when we allow for it to in fact lead us, He moves us away from things that we're not necessarily ready for if we pay attention. I wanted to take notice also verse 18 before we keep going with this thought. Verse 18, read verse 18 again for us.
So Elohim led the people around by way of the wilderness of the Sea of Reeds, and the children of Israel went up in fives from the land of Mitzrayim.
It says what in the scriptures? It went up in what?
In fives.
Interesting.
In fives.
That's an interesting translation. Can we see what's that say in the King James, that verse 18?
It says, but Yahweh led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went up, harnessed out of the land of Egypt.
Harnessed. It's interesting that it puts that translates that word. King James says harnessed. The scriptures is saying in fives. When we think about the idea of in fives there, it's kind of like in groupings.
You got a wasp situation.
Huh?
You got a wasp situation.
What to say?
Are we
It was
safe?
an emergency situation.
Are we safe right now? Are we
I
safe?
think we're safe.
Okay, very good.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Sorry.
Okay, very good. So this word here, harnessed, or in fives, as it says in the scripture, has the connotation of soldiers. It has a connotation of groupings together. I guess it says in fives in the scriptures, groupings together for the purposes of battle. And so it's interesting. Here, look, put on the screen there. Hebrew 2571, and look at the word study dictionary. Because I found this to be interesting. Put that up there. The word study. The word is harnessed. It's 2571. Okay, so the word study. Got the word study up?
Yep.
Okay, so it says they're plural adjectives meaning armed, arrayed for battle, in orderly array. It describes the Israelites as they went from Egypt. But he didn't take them to fight, though. He didn't take them to fight. In fact, I'm not even really sure how they was able to figure out anything about. They weren't an army, right? They were slaves for, at this point, a couple generations. They weren't trained in battle, but the scripture says they went out in fives. They went out harnessed. They went out in soldier formation, even though the Most High didn't take them in the way of the Philistines purposefully so that they didn't have to fight. And again, they were being led by the Spirit of the Most High. And so, to me, when I look at that, it seems like they were ready. They were ready for war, even though the Most High did not lead them into the place of war. Which to me, I found that interesting because, you think about being in like peace times and, non-threatening situations. But if it was only even just for visual purposes over here, they looked like they was ready for war, even though the Most High didn't take them into a place of danger. In fact, he took them out of danger.
Yeah.
But there was a form, a type of readiness that existed within them. And so it just caused me to think about the fact that we might not be ready, but you probably should be in the thought process of getting ready.
Being ready.
You might not be ready, but you should be being ready. You should be getting ready, right? For whatever it is that may present itself. Because we see Israel over here in a situation, the words that are being used here in the text is saying that they were ready for war, even though the Most High is not taking them. He's specifically, purposefully taking them out of the way of where the battle is.
Let's go to real quick.
I saw it on your face that you was ready. I was waiting. Good.
Exodus 15:3. You know what I'm saying? Just to remind the people what we dealing with. Exodus 15:3. It says Yahweh is a man of battle. Yahweh is his name, so it's an attribute of him.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw a little in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an attribute.
Yes, absolutely. And, technically when you think about it, the Most High, even though Israel gets into physical altercations, the Most High is empowering the people anyway. And so he's sharing his character with the people in his presence, allowing for Israel to be victorious when they are, in fact, victorious. And so we see that the Most High gives the people, Israel, what they need when they need it. And even in this case where, again, they shouldn't really be prepared. but he sends them out in a way where it seems as if they kind of are. I want to look at also in conjunction with this, let's go over to 1 Corinthians 10. Because the idea that we're really thinking about with this Torah portion is the fact that the Most High does, in fact, he wants to lead us and guide us if we let him. And he also prepares us for the places that he's going to be leading and guiding us to. Read for us 1 Corinthians 10, 1 through 13.
For I do not wish you to be ignorant, brothers, that all your fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and all were immersed into Moshe in the cloud and in the sea, and all ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed, and the rock was Messiah. However, with most of them, Elohim was not well pleased, for they were laying low in the wilderness. And these became examples for us, so that we should not lust after evil, as those indeed lust. And do not become idolaters, as some of them, as it has been written. The people sat down to eat and drink, and stood up to play. Neither shall we commit whoring, as some of them did, and in one day 23,000 fell. Neither let us try Messiah, as some of them also tried, and were destroyed by serpents. Neither grumble, as some of them also grumbled, and were destroyed by the destroyer. And all these came upon them as examples, as they were written as warnings to us, on whom the ends of the ages have come. Keep going. Was it 11?
13.
13, okay. So that he who thinks he stands, let him take heed lest he fall. No trial has overtaken you except such as in common to man, and Elohim is trustworthy, whom shall not allow you to be tried beyond what you are able, but with the trial shall also make the way of escape, enabling you to bear it.
Okay, very good. So it's interesting when we look at these verses over here in 1 Corinthians that are speaking about the times of Moses in the wilderness. But at the same time, it's talking about how in verse 9 that those people over there tempted Messiah, and then they was destroyed by certain serpents. Right? And so we're able to look at those people that was doing things against the Messiah, and we're able to learn from what they have done and apply that to our situation. Now we're able to see over there in Exodus that, again, the people were readied. They were readied by the Most High. All they had to do was just follow the leading and guiding of the Most High. They were going to, in fact, come into they were going to cross paths with things that were going to be tumultuous, that were going to be against them, that were going to present themselves as temptation. However, the Most High was going to bring them through it. And so we're able to see through what we see with Moses in the wilderness and the actions of Israel. We can think about Israel, who at that time, is a people. We can look at the way that the Most High deals with Israel as a people and how he deals with his actual people on an individual level. The Most High, when Israel needed it, provided for the people correction. We looked at that in 1 Corinthians 10, 1 through 13. Because it talks about, people dying off. People getting the plague, dealing with the serpent, right? There's pruning involved, right, of the people. But again, when we're thinking about the people, think about your own self, as a picture of the people, right, where you need things on you to be pruned, right? The nation as an entirety wasn't able to leave Egypt and go into the land the way that it came out. And so things had to be cut off. And so us as individuals were not able to leave our Egypt and make it into the kingdom the way that we are when we leave Egypt. There's things that got to get cut off. But the Most High is preparing us as we go, right? He sustains us. He protects us, right? He corrects us, which as sometimes it feels like he's destroying us, right? Because if you're a people thinking about Israel in Egypt, in the wilderness, if you're a people losing thousands at a time, it feels like, it looks like destruction. If the whole people was supposed to go from Egypt and go into the land, and then a whole generation ain't able to go in, it looks like destruction to the people that are experiencing it. But on the whole, if we're just talking about Israel made it from Egypt to the land. Israel made it. Israel didn't look the same from one place to the other.
Right.
And so when we think about these verses over here back in Exodus, Beshalach, when Pharaoh sent off the people out of Egypt, we think about our own plight as we leave out from Egypt, and we should be expecting, maybe not necessarily to go directly into battle, but knowing that even though we ain't going directly into battle, there's a battle over there. There's a battle that's coming. Even though we ain't leaving straight from Egypt into the fire, fire's down the street. And we're headed towards the fire, just not directly towards it. But when we think about what it is that Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians, that, we get into these situations where we may not know or think about or realize that we're in these situations that the Most High allowed for us to get into. And we're in this situation, and it looks like it's this insurmountable thing that you're facing, but meanwhile, the Most High wouldn't allow you to even be in the situation if he thought it was going to destroy you. Maybe he's just trying to destroy that little part that he wants to get cut off. I'm saying maybe facetiously. I'm facetiously saying it. Because that's why it's happening. Right? We go into these situations of these uncomfortable situations, not so that we can fail, but so that we can move forward and be victorious, actually. Right? And so we have to be able to allow for the Most High to move and the Spirit to move and do and lead us and guide us through situations, understanding that he's right there with us if we lean on his guiding. Just like he led Israel through the wilderness, sometimes away from the battle, sometimes right into it. But at the end of the day, Israel makes it. Spoiler alert. Israel makes it to the nation. They make it to the land. They get over there. right? Okay, does anybody have any thoughts, questions, comments about any of those things there?